Today we are going to paint a delicate transparent flower in watercolor. We begin with the sketch. At this stage you don't need to make the outline too hard. What matters is to understand the general shape, where the center of the flower is, in which direction the petals open, and which petals overlap each other. The photo of the sketch and the reference for this illustration can be found on my Patreon. I add the link in the description. Now we move on to color. First, I mix pink with lavender. It's important for me that the color is saturated enough, but at the same time the mixture stays watery. And then, separately, I prepare a bottle of lavender color. We begin with the first petal. First, I apply color along the contour of the petal, and then I stretch it with water towards the center. If there is too much pigment, the petals can become heavy. And here I want to keep the lightness. Then I add pink closer to the middle of the flower, near the base of the petal. I paint the second petal differently. Notice that right now I am not painting the neighboring petal, but the third, so I leave one petal between them. And first I cover the petal area with clean water. Even if a little bit of pink from the first petal mixes with the water I am applying now, that is not a problem, so we don't worry if the color bleeds a little. Then I take another brush and apply the contour with lavender paint. This petal is already wet with water, so I give the pigment space to spread. After that I add pink. If there is too much water, the pigment will spread too much. And if there is too little water, it either won't move at all, or the transition will become too harsh. Right now I have a little too much water, so I distribute the paint more evenly inside the petal. I lift the sheet and start tilting it, as if I am showing the water and pigment where to flow. And I also add more pink. I give the color a chance to spread. Before I move on to the next petal, I dry the first ones completely. The next petal will definitely touch them. If the paper stays wet, the color will flow where I don't need it. And here I also move the water back and forth a little across the petal with a hairdryer. Because of this, the mixing becomes even more active and, in my opinion, even more beautiful. Here we have two options. You can wait a little until the water is partly absorbed into the paper and then dry it from a greater distance, about 20 centimeters. Then the airflow will not move the water so strongly and the blending will look more natural. Also, you can do it in a different way. You can play a little with the water. Let it move the pigment, and this can give your work a lively, beautiful effect. When the drawing is dry, I repeat the same sequence. Water over the whole area, lavender contour and pink center. By pink I mean the mixed color that we already have on the palette. After that I move on to the fourth petal. Again I repeat the same sequence. But at the end I see that the pink pigment does not really want to spread where I need it to go. And instead of rubbing the paper with the brush, I simply tilt the paper a little. The water with pigment starts moving down along the petal by itself. After that, I dry the whole drawing again. This is a very good watercolor technique. Sometimes it is better not to work too much with the brush, but to let the water change direction. I fill the last petal with the same logic. Water, lavender along the edge, and pink in the center. And where I need to, I tilt the sheet a little again. Relaxed. By this moment, the hand already gets used to this rhythm, and the eyes are still enjoying watching how the pigment spreads across the paper. When all the petals are completely dry, I take a black marker size 0.1 and outline the contour. In some places, exactly along the line. In some places, slightly outside it. Because the goal is not to make a coloring page. The goal is to add a little chaos to the details. At the center, I add the stamens. Here we practiced working with water, with delicate pigment flow, and with transparent petals. I used a similar system when I painted the girl in the transparent black dress. The full lesson of the girl with detailed explanation, mistakes, correction, and the whole process from beginning to end is already available on my Patreon. At the end, with lavender paint, I add small splashes into the paper, and also in the very center to make it stronger.